I want to then turn attention towards what many would consider his kind of generational rival, if you will, which is Kylian Mbappé, the Real Madrid and France striker, who is also having a very impressive World Cup. He was particularly notable in the win over Paraguay. Obviously, France are a much better team than Norway, Toby. They have far more stars. You know, we could talk about Ousmane Dembele, we can talk about Michael Olise and a number of other players. But how impressed have you been with Kylian Mbappe and his performances at this World Cup? Maybe in contrast to how things worked out at Real Madrid for him this season.
Yeah, I'm not surprised from his performances because I know his qualities, but I was surprised as you already said right now. The seasons at Real Madrid or the both last seasons were not that good. Even the scoring output was there, but yeah, there was a lot of talks about him and his performances, and also the way he acted at Real Madrid in the last month. So I wasn't quite sure in which state of his football abilities he is right now. So yeah, he's coming for the big stage, as we said, also with Haaland, and now I think it's totally clear that he's in a top form right now. So maybe he will be the difference to push again for the World Cup. And then we can also maybe talk about his market value if he can rise again, because as with all the circumstances around him, in the last months he gone down, but yeah, he shows that he's one of the best players in the world right now, and maybe also for his Ballon d'Or campaign or his push for it, maybe it's also a good sign that he's on his best at the World Cup again.
Yeah, it seems as though there's a relief about him, or he seems far more happy, more relaxed in the France top than he has been in the Real Madrid top for the last 12 months, which is perfectly understandable. For anyone who maybe doesn't know, Mbappe's market value recently dropped to 180 million euros. So he's just below Haaland and Lamine Yamal, but he quite famously got his market value skyrocketed to 200 million euros after France won the World Cup in 2018. So, he is a good example of what can happen when a team or a player does kind of stand out at the tournament. But we had some comments from some users. It's an interesting kind of debate with Mbappe amongst the users, Toby, because a lot of people discussing the fact that he's obviously been very good at the World Cup, but many also aware of the fact that he maybe not that his performances were bad in particular, but he was part of a very dysfunctional Real Madrid team. And one user says he shines in the current French national team thanks to the way that Didier Deschamps deploys him. With the recent Real Madrid managerial change, there could be a possible change in tactics that allows him to truly shine and play at a pace that brings back his global reputation. He hasn't reached his actual prime, and when he does, I could see him breaking the 200 million euro barrier, in fact, before any other striker like Haaland does. So this user suggests that maybe Mbappe could be the player that makes that record-breaking change, market value bump above 200 million euros. But putting that to one side, do we think there's a possibility that Mbappe could, if he can guide France to another World Cup title, rejoin Haaland and Lamine Yamal as the most valuable player in the world?
I think it's possible to rejoin that, or them. I think it's possible to rejoin them, but I don't think he can set a new barrier at the top. So maybe it's just the step back to 200 million, because I I really struggle to say that in real life, but he's not the youngest, as he's also at the end of the 20s right now. So that if he goes too high right now, then he should go down very soon. So we will think about that. But one thing I also recognize now, as you said it, the dysfunctional side of Real Madrid when we see how they performed in the last months or this season in particular. And then we will see, and we saw Vinny Jr. playing a good World Cup. Bellingham's playing a really good World Cup. Mbappe plays a very good World Cup. Then we see, okay, maybe it's not the problem with the players. So it's maybe more an overall Real Madrid problem because yeah, they are outperforming their teammates at
Mm.
the World Cup right now. So yeah, maybe Mourinho can fix that problem. I'm not quite sure about that, but maybe we will see. But I think it's very obvious that these players or these top players from Real Madrid playing a very good World Cup. There's also Brahim Diaz to mention, who rarely get a chance at Real Madrid, but playing fantastically with Morocco, for example. So um, yeah, the players have the quality, and it's also a sign that they also need the surroundings around them to perform quite well. And it's also on the big stage, also for the biggest players, they need the environment to go for their best performances.